Hello everybody, I'm J. Marcelo Vaquero Alvarez and this is Info in Context. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about the political extremes and why that is important when it comes to propaganda. So although a lot of people don't follow politics because either they find it boring or they find it frustrating or whatever other reason why they don't like it, politics are important. And one of the reasons why it is so easy for propagandists to utilize politics is because they're volatile. So what does that mean? Okay, so volatile means that they're going to get you angry. Even if you don't necessarily agree or understand their doctrines, if somebody comes and challenges your political beliefs, now you're going to have a problem. So propaganda is going to try to make you believe that we cannot agree onto any type of topic. They're going to drift us apart, they're going to polarize us because that is convenient for them. And the reason why they make us believe that is because it is easier for them to try to insert any misconception about what we would be thinking that the other party is going to be doing, even if that is not true. But remember what I keep saying. It is inconvenient for propagandists if we actually work into a solution together. They need us polarized. So in the USA, it's a little bit easier to polarize us because a lot of people, they only think that we have two political parties. So they're going to think, okay, if you're a Democrat, you're on the left, way on that side. And if you're a Republican or a conservative, you're way on that side with the GOP on the right. And some people might actually be aware that there's some third-party groups out there, even though they don't have the same amount of following as some of the major parties, talking about Democrats or the GOP. Around the world, a lot of the parties that they happen to compete for an election, they have a lot more nonsense doctrines that we might not actually see them as obviously in the United States. So, for example, they're going to have a lot of left-leaning policies under a conservative agenda or vice versa. But in the USA, it is a little bit designed to either push you into the left or push into the right. When you go to my website, www.infoincontext.com, you're going to see the charts that I'm putting here on the screen. This chart is the incorrect depiction of how the political system is divided in the USA, but it is very convenient for a propagandist. So let me explain you why. When you see this chart, you're going to see what most people think that is accurate, that if you're on the left, you're way on that side, and if you're on the right, you're way on that side, and maybe there's some people in the center that they might be independent and do their own thing. Well, that's not necessarily the case. Like I was telling you before, it doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right side of the spectrum. We actually agree into more things that we disagree. So this construct is actually designed to make people believe that if you're on the left, you're so far away from me, we cannot agree because you are actually viewing that side. And if you are on the right, you're on that side. And yeah, we are polarized by definition. That is not the case. So this is the correct depiction of the political system. And it is more like a horseshoe. The way that I draw it here is because I want to make it easier for people to understand how this actually works. So in this graphic depiction, you get to see kind of like this arch on top, and then you get to see left on one side and right on the other side. If you see to the extremes, the extreme right is going to be fascism and the extreme left is going to be communism. If you look at the chart as you go down to the bottom, both actually turn red. And why is that? It's because they're mirror images of the same monster. They're authoritarian. What does that mean? That means that if you speak out of turn or say something that the regime doesn't like, they're going to kill you and everything you ever loved. That's what it means. So let's go to the top of this chart. And when you see that center there, we kind of like that little smiley face down over there. Center is not necessarily the same thing as third party, okay? And is not necessarily as a centrist, okay? So even though we're getting into some semantics there. But it is a little bit more about the vantage point that you get to see if either side of the political spectrum is doing what they say that they were supposed to be doing. That means that you're more likely to hold both parties accountable for whatever they're actually doing on the merits. And that's why you actually get to see this arch kind of like getting a little bit thinner as it goes down over there. That's for two reasons, okay? So the first thing is because instead of having a lot of people that are going to be governing, it's going to get more and more and more and more and more narrow, the number of people who are actually going to be making the decisions for everybody else. And of course, there's another reason is because as you follow down into the echo chamber, into any side, either left or right, into radicalization, then it starts accelerating. So it starts kind of like slow and then it starts going really, really fast. So when it comes to politics, let's understand that disagreeing in politics, that's fine. It's all right. That's what we need because whenever you disagree with another person, there might be something that you both didn't actually see and you can come with a better solution that is better for everybody else, okay? And that is this mother portion, that I have, okay? Even though you might actually be a little bit more to the left or a little bit more to the right, but you're still having a conversation, you're still having a debate, you still are able to communicate. That is extremely important. Propagandists, they want you to stay into this far right or far left for as long as possible, because that is actually going to create some frustration. It's going to create that visceral response where you start like really feeling that everybody else is an idiot, that only you're right, and then everybody else who is in your environment is agreeing with your worldview and with everything that you're saying and with everything that it seems that you're even thinking. There's a reason for that. It doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. It works the same way, because a propagandist, they don't care about your political leanings. If you already were somewhere in the left, they're going to push you into that left. So you would become more radicalized on that side. And if you're on the right, they're going to keep you on the right until you become very obedient. And vice versa, depending, who's the authoritarian that is actually trying to push you into either extreme. Depending on how long you've been on to either echo chamber or how little you've been able to escape or willing to escape from that echo chamber, then you're going to fall eventually into that extreme side of the spectrum, being left or right, depending, whatever authoritarian regime is actually trying to gain power there. When you follow into either one of those, then, as I said before, it is a mirror image of the same monster. If you speak out of turn, they're going to kill you and everything you ever loved. And that begs the question, how do I know if I'm following more into the fascistic side of the extreme or into the communist side of the extreme? And I'm going to tell you. If a person is being driven into fascism, the catalyst that is going to be moving it is going to be a deity. There's going to be some type of divinity that is going to be exploited. That doesn't mean that your God is bad. What it is that in a political extreme, they're going to be exploiting your biases. And if your bias happens to be a religious bias, they're going to exploit the crap out of that. So in fascism, they're going to actually create this war between good and evil, where you are good and you have been very patient while you were in this echo chamber for that long, while everybody else was an idiot for so long, until it is time for you to act. Whatever is it that they ask you to do. But make no mistake, because fascism and communism, they're both really bad. As I say, if you speak out of turn, they're going to kill you and everything you ever loved. And one of the things that I was saying before in other videos, and is worth repeating, is that the authoritarians, they don't care about your leanings. They don't care about your convictions. They don't care about your virtues. They don't care about your beliefs. They don't care about any of that. They're going to tell you that they care until they get in power. Once they galvanize power, if you speak out of turn, they're going to punish you. And this is happening around the world. And guess what? Authoritarian regimes that they lean towards communism and towards fascism, they work together. Surprise. They care about galvanizing power. At some point, they will try to probably destroy each other, but they understand that if they galvanize their power, then they have a lot more leverage with the other problematic regimes around the world, and that's what they want to do. They want to create that as the new status quo. What is that? It means that if you speak out of turn, they're going to kill you and everything you ever loved. And there's a reason why I keep repeating that. And that begs the question, to which side of the political extreme is the USA falling into? And before I answer the question, I want you to understand that every country is going to become a target of opportunity to the propagandist. In some countries, it's going to be falling way into the left, and some other countries, it's going to be falling way into the right. Whichever one is easier to polarize people with, that is the one that they will go with. That means that the propagandist is going to be looking for some of those virtues, some of those things that make you feel like you are a good person, that you are doing the right thing, that you really care. But for the most part, people either on the right or on the left side of the spectrum, they want to be happy. They want to have unity between people. They want to be able to live in peace. That's what they want. They might disagree a little bit as far as which type of denomination they follow, or which type of religion they follow, or what type of cars or clothes they like to wear. That is different. Okay, that's fine. Each person is unique. So what are the things that they're actually weaponizing in the USA? Well, one of those is your religion. The other thing that they're weaponizing is your patriotism. They use these things not as a unifier, but as a division tool, and they're going to believe that they're doing the right thing. In fact, that is exactly the way that it's designed to be. And guess what? People on the left also, they have a tendency to be religious or to be patriotic. So that happens. But one thing in the USA, we're really far away from communism. Yeah, it's a misconception that it's being put as propaganda. By whom? By the fascists. And this is an important point that I want to emphasize. In the USA, unfortunately, it is going into the extreme right. And it's sad because a lot of people in the right, they're really good people. And they are going to be convinced that they're doing the right thing because that's what their congregation tells them. That's what the echo chamber that they happen to be falling into is telling them. So it doesn't matter if you're on the left or if you're on the right. If you are into this far side of the political spectrum, wherever you're in your echo chamber, you need to learn to get out of there. Because what is going to happen is that you're going to think that everybody else is wrong. And then you're going to have this tunnel vision. And little by little, you could actually start falling into this authoritarian trap without you even realizing it. The way that happens is that it starts slowly, but then it accelerates exponentially. So you don't even realize when that happens. And that's why you've seen in history that when an authoritarian regime gets toppled by another authoritarian regime, it either went from an extreme right to an extreme left or vice versa. So that begs the question, what can you do to make it better? Well, you need to learn context. And that's why I developed Dissuade in the way that it's created. So you can see what are the facts, what are the incendiary talk points, and what are the red flags, and see other content providers that are actually giving you some information that it is factual. Because whenever you actually understand that there's a bigger world out there, that we're more similar than different, then we can have those debates again. But those debates are actually going to be leading to a solution. A propagandist does not want a solution. It is up to us to understand, to learn, to be able to work together. But when we're polarized, only the adversarial regimes win. And the way that the adversarial regimes change the status quo and they actually take over a country is not necessarily by invading them. It's by implanting misinformation so we get polarized. But there's another layer. They're going to help put somebody in office who is very convenient for their agenda. Not for the USA, for their agenda. They want to make people believe that it was their choice. But they're doing that because they want to destroy our democracy or our constitutional republic. They want to change our system for an authoritarian system. A totalitarian regime, they don't have elections. That could happen in the USA if we're not careful. If you found value in this video, please give it a like and subscribe and hit the little bell so more people can see this video. I will continue releasing more videos on these authoritarian tactics and how we can stop them. Until the next video, guys, thank you so much. Bye.